and welcome to the Berkshire Football Stories chat podcast with me, Rob Davies, Tom Canning.
Hi.
And guest contributor this week, Neil Maskell from Maidenhead United. Neil, how are you doing?
Good afternoon, gents. Very well, thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah, very good, thank you. I mean, I feel like I'm getting a bit more vitamin D than the two of you because I can barely make you out in your camera screens there. Everything all right? Not, lights haven't been switched off where you are or anything like that, no?
I look better in the dark, so I thought we'd go for some mood lighting.
Right. And I'm in my childhood bedroom, and there's a massive window behind me, which really wasn't helping with the like it was looking very grainy. So I've closed the curtains, and we'll see how it goes.
Tom, have you been sent to bed without any tea? Is that what's happened?
Yes, my mum's actually left. She's gone. So.
You must have said something really bad. Really didn't want those peas and carrots, did you?
No, I did not. Absolutely not.
Very good indeed. Well, we'll be covering all the news and interest in Berkshire football over the weekend and looking ahead to next weekend's fixtures. But of course, where else would we start this weekend or in the roundup of this weekend other than the FA Cup? It was fourth qualifying round. There were three Berkshire sides involved in the fourth qualifying round, and all three are now through to the first round proper, which is pretty fantastic. It's the first time we have had four Berkshire sides in the first round proper since the 1982-83 season, according to Richard Arnett, Phil Arnett, sorry, our FA Cup fact file guru, who has let us know that one. And of course, I'm saying four because they'll be joined by Reading in the first round for the first time in a little while. And who better to talk about this than Neil? You were at two of the ties over the course of the week.
Made one. Only made one in the end. I didn't get to Slough last night, unfortunately. But I was certainly at the Maidenhead game on Saturday. We were 11 games without a win before. For the trip to Western, it had banana skin written all over it, didn't it? I'm sure a lot of people would have thought we might struggle there. It was a really good performance from Maidenhead on the day. 2 up at half time. Controlled the game as well as we've controlled a game for any time, really, in the recent past. But it's been a little struggle to score some goals. The goals are coming back. We hope. Toby Show-Silva scored a hat-trick. And we were quite comfortable and comprehensive. So hopefully that can translate to the tough-looking league games we've got coming up. But a good day by the seaside, Rob.
Absolutely, yeah. We should say Maidenhead 3-0 winners at Weston-super-Mare, and going through to the first round proper of the FA Cup, where you'll be facing an away trip to Oxford United. How do you fancy that tie, Neil?
Well, there's been a bit of mixed reaction, really, from Maidenhead fans. I think the club hasn't got through a first-round tie since 1886. So
wow.
I don't think this really represents our best chance of doing so. The last few times we've got through to the first round, we've played teams in our own league, which is kind of the ties you want to avoid, isn't it? Yeah. Although it represented a chance, we duly lost both games. So we'll draw a line under those. So look, I think we've just got to enjoy it for what it is. It's a league team. It's a relatively close journey. Should be a good crowd. We're playing a side that are absolutely flying at the top of League One. So let's not go with trepidation. Let's go and enjoy it. You know, I'm sure they'll make perhaps some changes to their team with promotion in their front of their minds. So some important league games before, but I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a good afternoon out, and hopefully we can put a good account of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some fans brand it the Timmy Mallet Derby already as a regular at both clubs. So yes. I'm sure he'll be in attendance on the first round.
But I've had a text from him already. He's already cock a hoop, and his face will be in and around media coverage of this one, I'm sure. Good luck to him.
Absolutely, yeah. So we mentioned Maidenhead there going through fairly comfortably, and the other two teams in action over the weekend were Bracknell, who were at home to Dagenham and Redbridge on the early fixture that was chosen by BBC to be on their red button coverage, and they got a 1-0 win themselves with an injury time goal. Tom, pretty impressive again from Bracknell, and through to the first round of the FA Cup for the third time in their history and the second time on the bounce. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, did anybody not believe that they wouldn't get through? Because I did. I know before we started recording and before you joined us, Rob, Neil was feeling quite smug because he predicted both the Slough and the Bracknell progression.
Wow.
Which is fair, but I mean, it is always these days a surprise when Bracknell don't win, which I think says a lot about where the club has arrived. And however, that being said, they were still playing a team 2 divisions above. But Carl Withers and Jamie McClure, they are just cup geniuses, aren't they? They know how to play a cup game. They took Binfield all the way to the FA Vase final. They had a strong hand in getting Bracknell to the first round proper last season, and it can't be a surprise, can it? I think that Cambridge United is probably, I think maybe possibly Oxford United is obviously probably a tougher game, but for Maidenhead, I think I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not actually sure of Cambridge's form. My only Cambridge knowledge goes from listening to Guardian Football Weekly when Max Rushton occasionally talks about Cambridge United, but I believe they're not doing so well. But it's still an enormous challenge for Bracknell to get through. You would think that Cambridge probably should win, but I doubt they are going to have it all their own way. And I think Bracknell will have plenty to say in that fixture going forward. But as I say, going into injury time, they've made a habit of scoring and winning games in injury time, haven't they? And Cameron English's goal there was, which I've watched quite a lot. He almost just has all the time in the world, doesn't he? When he finishes it, he sort of takes it down, puts it on his left foot, and somehow still has time to beat the Dagenham and Redbridge goalkeeper. The other thing of note, I think, in that is the Bracknell centre back Darryl Harrison. I just kind of I didn't know of him, but I did a little bit of sort of social media scouting of him afterwards, mostly to tag him in a picture we'd mocked up for the Instagram. But there was a couple of pieces on his social media about how his family were Dagenham and Redbridge fans and were in fact at the game, and there was a really lovely post on his Twitter with a tribute to his dad, who was a big Dagenham and Redbridge fan, who had sadly passed away, I think fairly recently. So for him, that must have been all the emotions in the world to play in that game against the team, his family support, but also to ultimately beat them. I think that must have been really quite something for him. So just credit where it's due to the entire club. And I think they've been through a bit of a sticky start to the season, but there can be no doubt of their cup superiority. And saying that Cambridge probably should win the next game, I mean, come on, you wouldn't be surprised if Bracknell are in the second round, would you? You just wouldn't be surprised.
So Cambridge are League One, obviously, and as you mentioned, Cambridge United are the team that Bracknell drew in the first round proper. They are in League One, but they're without a win since the beginning of September in all competitions. Since the visit of which team do you think that would be, Tom, in League One?
I think I know this.
Go on, Neil.
Ipswich.
No, Reading.
I think it was a televised game, and Reading, I think, was the unlucky side that night.
Yeah, absolutely. Ipswich are a championship now, Tom.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I wasn't properly listening when you just said that. I don't know what was going on.
Okay. Cambridge haven't won since they beat Reading at the beginning of September.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yes. So they are on a bit of a run of bad form, but obviously that is a big jump. Was it 5 divisions between the two sides? But another massive fixture for Bracknell, and they're becoming almost commonplace, aren't they? So fantastic stuff.
when was the last time they lost to a National League side? Because they've made a habit of beating National League South sides last season. I don't know. They will have done, but
I think I saw someone say on Twitter that Dagenham and Redbridge was the highest ranked team that Bracknell have ever beaten, the National League side, which I'm not sure if that's. I think it was a question. So have they ever beaten a side ranked higher than National League? So yeah, they might have done in the Berks and Bucks Cup or something like that. I think they went through Reading, obviously, and so I don't know if you count that, considering it might be a youth team or whatever. But in the
last time they played, did they beat Reading last season? But I don't think you can count that. I don't think.
I think they beat Wickham last season. I think so. Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can count that, but still, Dagenham and Redbridge in the National League, a pretty fantastic results, and hopefully one more. But the final game of the FA Cup, the three fixtures that we had, another mismatch supposedly in terms of levels. Slough Town of the National League South going away to Ebbsfleet United of the National League. Slough get a draw 2-2 on the weekend after taking the lead, and then take them back to Arbour Park last night, where they managed to push their way through with a 2-0 victory. Another pretty fantastic result for a Berkshire side. I'll lead you in, Neil, even though you weren't there. You were hoping to go, but couldn't get there anyway. But another fantastic result.
I was following it.
Rob, we do have Neil Graham. We do have Neil Graham's voice note.
Okay, so I'll. Do you want to do that first then?
Let's drop that in and then we can talk about it.
Sure.
Here we go.
Good afternoon. Just Neil reporting for Football in Berkshire from Slough Town versus Ebbsfleet last night. My first impression was Slough really just wanted it a little bit more than Ebbsfleet, and they got their reward in the 32nd minute from Josh Jackman, firing one in, and then sort of 10 minutes later, Matt Lynch fired one home, bottom left-hand corner in the 42 minutes. From that moment onwards, Slough didn't look like they were going to lose. Second half, Ebbsfleet come out fighting a little bit stronger with a few more substitutions, but that didn't really change the way the match was going. Throughout, really, Slough were on top and looked like they were even going to score a third. Ebbsfleet themselves looked tired and quite flat at the back, and Slough just really cut them open. Now Slough have won. They face Grimsby Town at home again. Played over the weekend of the 3rd to the 6th of November. But the one thing I will say about Slough is that the fans were superb last night. They were singing throughout. And the best of luck to Slough Town in the first appearance in 5 years of the FA Cup. First round proper. Anyway, that's Neil for Football in Berkshire. Have a great afternoon.
Well, I think he's covered it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Pretty comprehensive job there from Neil. So thank you very much to him. Neil Graham, that is, covering. Don't want any Neil-based confusion. So, going on to Neil Maskell. What do you think about Slough's progression and the fixture they're going to have in the next round?
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? I think let's deal with last night first. I mean, they were 2 up. In the first half, weren't they? They were 2 up at half time. I was following the clips on Twitter. Unable to go in the end. I was hoping to go to the game. 2 really good finishes, and they were clearly well up for it. I believe that's 8 games unbeaten now. Whereas Ebbsfleet, as I said on the podcast a couple of weeks back, have, like Dagenham, a dip in form in the National League. So. To take them back, sometimes you think, have you missed your best chance as well, don't you? They were leading in the first game. Again, I was flicking through the scores whilst watching the Maidenhead game, and noted that Slough were leading and they were pegged back late on. You think, has the chance gone? Really not. 2 brilliant finishes last night, and another great result. I've actually been to a few cup games down there. They've had some good cup nights, haven't they, at Arbour Park? I remember they played. Rochdale were beaten in that game, but gave a good account of themselves against a side who are then in the EFL. These are sort of Bakes and Unders era, aren't they, I guess?
Yes.
Totton as well were obviously now an EFL club, were then a National League club. Another game I went to, and they Slough deservedly went through after a really exciting game in the penalty shootout. So there's cup pedigree there. So why not against Grimsby? A so-so League Two side at Arbor Park. At the time of recording, we don't know the TV games, but that could be a good chance of a game getting some coverage. So it's absolutely brilliant. And again, they've got more than a puncher's chance, haven't they, of beating Grimsby? So it's exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd say all three of the games involving Berkshire non-league side will have a chance of being on TV there. I think maybe even Bracknell again, considering the difference or the disparity in leagues, 5 leagues difference between the two sides on the day. So yeah, but you mentioned John Underwood there, former manager of Slough, or former joint manager. He had something to say about Slough's progression, didn't he, Tom?
He did, yes. We just flagged this up, didn't I, earlier on in our little group. He said, really impressed by Slough Town tonight, who were worthy winners against high-level opposition. So pleased for Scott Davies, who set his team up brilliantly tonight. Great goals from Josh and Lynchy too. I think both players played under unders and bakes, and it's a terrific result. I mean, Slough are no strangers to the first round, and fairly recently they've been in the second round as well. But it's unders is carrying on. Has pushed on in his management. He's at Beaconsfield Town, and they're on a great run as well. So it's great to see him back at his old club. Bakes and unders, they led that club out of the doldrums. So if ever there was going to be someone who had something to say about it, I think going to those two straight away is the first place you go, because they got the club where they are, and Scott Davies is carrying it on.
Absolutely, yeah, fantastic result for Slough indeed, and yeah, a great fixture to look forward to against Grimsby next weekend, I believe it is, or the weekend of the third and fourth, yeah, 3rd to 5th or whatever it will be. One thing to mention about the game, of course, was that there was a pretty high-profile name in the Ebbsfleet starting lineup. A certain Mr. Jordan Ibe, who this has sparked a debate in a WhatsApp group that I have. He was once sold from Liverpool to Bournemouth for £15 million. Now, has there ever been a player that has been sold for more money who has appeared in non-league football? I'm sure there must have been. Well, I'm not sure there must have been, because I can't think of one at the moment. I found players that have gone for more cumulatively, like Ross McCormack had a season where he turned out for Aldershot for a few games at least, and he has had at least 2 over £10 million transfers. But I think £15 million might be making one of the most valuable non-league players valuable players to ever turn out for a non-league side. Can you think of anyone else who might be even near in the bracket?
So just to clarify, we're talking players that are in non-league after they
I mean,
not players that have gone from non-league to.
Correct, yeah, because I mean, I think there's plenty of been like quite. I think Jordan Pickford plays non-league, and I think he went for almost 30 million when he went to Everton from Sunderland. So that's just off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm not sure there's anyone who went for a big sum then came down to log league after that. There's been some quite high-profile players. Edgar Davids at Barnet was player manager there for at least half a season while they were in non-league, and I don't think he was during his career ever went for anything like 15 million. It was quite a long time ago, so transfer fees have been inflated recently. Anyone at all, Neil, that you've got?
I can think of one that I don't think competes with 15 million, but I'm just thinking about players that have been on my radar. A few seasons ago, when Maidenhead played at Woking, the home side had Matt Jarvis amongst their substitutes, and just doing a little bit of Googling now, as well as an England cap or two. He did go in 2012 to West Ham for what is described as a club record fee, but it doesn't say what that record is. So we'll have to put that one in the pending pile, I think. I don't think that can necessarily beat Jordan Ibe. Again, with a Maidenhead point of view, which might lead me on nicely to a quick plug, if I may be allowed to have one.
Of course.
We did have a player you will have seen play higher up the ladder. That was DJ Campbell. Rob.
Yes, I remember. I saw him play for Maidenhead plenty of times.
Yeah, you saw him play for Maidenhead as well as your beloved Leicester as well. 2.1 million, so loose change, really. We're talking those eye-opening sort of fees. I just want to give a bit of a plug, if I could, actually, for something going on at Maidenhead in a couple of weeks' time, which is a really, really worthwhile cause and quite a sad story, if I'm honest. DJ himself will be playing in a kind of charity game, I guess, for a guy called Darty Brown, who played for Maidenhead and for Hayes and Yedding and for Staines as well. Darty sadly suffers from a very rare form of cancer called cardiac sarcoma. So the club are hosting a game to sort of raise funds for hopefully some more treatment for Darty. It's apparently a 1 in a million form of cancer, which is terribly sad. There's going to be events at the grounds. That's Sunday, the 29th of October. We'll have auctions, raffles, music, bouncy castle, good food on offer as well. Sunday, the 29th of October at the football club. Doors open from 12, kick off at 3. I think it's fair to say DJ Campbell will be the highest profile player, but there's a number of players that would have played locally, like Gavin James, who played for a few clubs locally. Mark Nisbet, of course, a legend at Slough and Maidenhead as well. Kind of players from that era that Darty will have played with. So any support is going to be sort of entry by donation to support that really good cause. I believe one of the raffle prizes might be a pair of signed Anthony Joshua boxing gloves. So
wow.
So there'll be some opportunities for a bit of fun down there and a chance to win a few nice prizes and support a really good cause as well. But I don't think I can beat you 15 million at the moment. I'm afraid, Rob.
Well, a fantastic cause there, and certainly a game that we should, we'll get behind and go. We'll have to do something to promote that. And
Thank you.
Absolutely would. If I'm free, I'd love to come down and watch that one. So
great stuff. Thank you. Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Watch all of Maidenhead's social media for more information on that one. Tom, you look like you're deep in thought there. Have you got something to add here, or?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I'm desperately racking my brains for a player, but I there's no one springing to mind at the moment. I mean, quite how, for example, Sam Barrett was never worth at least 20 million. I don't know. No one that springs to mind. And I did have something really interesting else to say on another bit that we were talking about back at the very start of this segment, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Well, there we go. Well, what a way to end up our roundup of the FA Cup games. Fantastic. Well, there were some other games the weekend, and we're not going to go into all of them one by one, but there's one that I was actually at that was worth a little bit of a mention. I was down at Waterside Park, or the Stacker Truck Stadium, as they call it now, and I was watching Thatcham Town take on Corinthian Casuals. Now, an inauspicious game, you might think. Thatcham Town sort of mid-table in the Isthmian South Central, and Corinthian Casuals going into the game bottom of the league, actually. But the reason I was so keen to go is because of my record with Thatcham. Now, I've been watching the teams around Berkshire. I've been sort of spreading my wings away from Maidenhead, who were my first team that I watched in Berkshire football since I moved to Reading. I moved from Maidenhead to Reading in 2015. And then at that point, I thought, I'll go and see some more of the local non-league sides, which is what's got me on this journey to where I am today. Thatcham were one of the first teams I saw because I noticed they were actually in a promotion campaign, and they were playing Kidlington in the Hellenic Premier Division. And essentially those two teams were battling for the one promotion place. Thatcham unfortunately lost on the night, lost 2-0 to Kidlington, and Kidlington ended up getting promoted. But that's actually started a little bit of a trend when I go to see Thatcham Town games. Now, in that sort of 8-year period, Thatcham Town have been promoted from the Hellenic Premier. They've won the FA Vase. They've essentially they were top of the Step 4 division, the Southern League Division 1 South, before the COVID pandemic hit, and we're looking good for promotion from that division. Yet I have now been to 8 games watching Thatcham, and every single one of them, Thatcham have lost. So I'm wondering, is there anyone out there in Berkshire supporting football or non-league in general who has a worse record following a side? Because currently I'm 8 games watching Thatcham, 8 defeats, and I think, at this point they're going to start telling me not to turn up or stopping me from getting into the ground, because my record with them is that bad, despite them being reasonably good for periods while I've been watching them. Neil, have you got anyone that you've got such a poor record supporting?
Yeah, one springs to mind, actually. Probably my most local team from where I am here, and that's Wokingham and Embrook. I know that my friend Andrew Batt listens to these podcasts, so my record going down to Louth Road, a place I really enjoy going to watch football, really good people down there, is not great at all. I can't put 8 straight defeats necessarily on the table for you, but I cannot remember the last time I saw them win. There's a few draws there, normally 2 or 3 times a season, and my record with them isn't great. But again, I don't want to allow the Road Stadium ban, so just bad luck. I put that one down to. I do remember one particular season where Maidenhead's home form was so bad. I think they only won 2 at home all season, and I managed to miss both of those. That was a quite painful period. But Woking and Embrook, a club I've got a lot of time for. They're always very pleased to see me, but perhaps they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I should mention that Thatcham did lose at the weekend to a 94th minute goal from Corinthian casuals after having missed quite a few chances themselves, including hitting the woodwork a couple of times. So, disappointing one and tough to take. Tom, have you got anyone you're quite as bad with?
Yes, mine relates directly to the Thatcham Town manager, Yashua Romeo, who used to play for Marlow.
Yes.
And in my years following Bracknell Town, home and away, I don't think we ever beat Marlow. So, and it's not quite the question you asked, but it was the first thing that sprang to mind. You would play Marlow maybe 3, 4, 5 times a season because of the small regionalised nature of the County Cup. You'd play them in the League Cup. You'd probably play them in the FA Cup somewhere along the line, or the Vase as well, whatever it was. But you'd play them 3, 4 times a season, and we would never beat them ever. And it was always, I had this thing, when the last time I spoke to Yash on the phone, I said, it's just whenever I saw his name on the team sheet, it was like, here we go. And they just haven't. Happily though, on the complete reverse of that, I don't think I've ever seen Tadley Cleaver lose.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And I'm not counting the penalty shootout defeat to AFC Bournemouth.
So that's a draw for you, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Fair enough. I think
until I changed the rule for another reason. So, can I also I remembered my point about the FA Cup from way back. The 4 teams that made it to the FA Cup first round proper in 82-83, of those 4 teams, 2 of them are technically defunct.
Which 2?
Because you had Slough Town, Reading,
mm-hmm.
Windsor and Eton, and Wokingham Town.
There you go. Well, Windsor and Eton rising like a phoenix from the flames, obviously. So maybe we'll see the new Windsor and Eton in the FA Cup first round before too long. But little way to go for them yet. But hopefully one day. But if you, listener, have any teams that you have such a terrible record with, get in touch with the show and let us know if you could beat 8 straight defeats and no wins and no draws in that time as well. So Tom, how do they get in contact with the podcast?
Well, all the social medias. We are FI Berkshire on Twitter and Threads and Instagram. I'll probably post a clip up of this video there as well, so people can start replying to it. We're also on Facebook, Football in Berkshire, and you can email us podcast@footballinberkshire.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Well, we'll move away from the weekend's football and on to something a lot more positive. Well, a lot more positive than my record watching Thatcham, that is. Tom, we have had some international representation in Berkshire.
We do.
Why don't you talk us through Freya Gregory?
So, yes, Reading's on loan winger Freya Gregory has been called up to the England under-23 squad. She's the only Reading player in the squad, but there are two former players in Emma Harries and Kira Skills. Emma Harries is at West Ham United and Skills is at Bristol City. She was at Charlton Athletic, almost. And of course, Frank Kirby is in the senior Lionesses squad. I know that Abby, our mate Abby Ticehurst, was incredibly excited that Freya Gregory had arrived at Reading. I believe she scored 2 goals already for the Royals. So great to see her in the England under-23 squad.
Very good news indeed. And we also have some more international representation, and this time a little bit closer to the FIB WhatsApp group. Tom, why don't you talk us through the other representation we've had this week?
Well, a while ago, I remember Alicia Povey, who helps us out here and there where she can and gives us good bits of advice and is the font of our futsal knowledge. Formerly played to Maidenhead United women as well as Wycombe Wanderers. She was called up over the weekend to the England beach soccer side, which went to play in Spain. I think Lish can best describe this herself. Shall I drop the clip?
Do it.
Hi, Football in Berkshire listeners. Thank you for all of the support recently with my recent beach football call up for England. It was a fantastic weekend. We took on Spain, Portugal and the USA with quite a small squad. We lost 4-2 to Spain, which is improvement on the last meeting where England lost 11-0. We drew with Portugal, which I scored the equaliser, and then unfortunately lost on penalties. And then we lost 4-2 to the US, which was a last-minute goal from them. But it was an incredible experience, and really excited to get back to training. Looking forward to the World Beach Games.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, Alicia's covered it all there. She's heading for the World Beach Games and has even managed a couple of goals in the tournament we just had. So, pretty impressive stuff. Hey, Tom.
Oh, really, really, really impressive. I think anyone that can get an England cap in any form of the game deserves our utmost respect. And, she's worked really hard for that. I absolutely loved the video that she posted of her ending up flat on the floor. I think the ball hit her in the face.
Yeah,
or
I think
something
so.
like that. It was I'm sure it hurt, but it was quite funny. And she has a habit of ending up slumped on the floor. But yeah, she's been absolutely brilliant to work with for us, and I'm really proud that she's managed to do that. And as I say, we all get to buy an England shirt here and there and occasionally, and put them on when we're watching games. But she's actually got to wear one in a competitive match, and that proud and quite jealous as well, really, because I'm rubbish at football.
Very good indeed. Yeah, well, we wish her all the best, and for any future beach soccer endeavours, and I'll look forward to hearing them as and when they occur. Right, that takes us past the international section on the running order. Now we're going to turn our attention to the games coming up this weekend, and with the headline fixtures of being in another FA competition, the FA Vase this time, with what have we got? Seven Berkshire sides involved across 6 ties. I'm going to ask Tom. I'm going to ask you to pick out your tie of the round here. Probably haven't got time to go through all 6 ties. So, which one out of the 6 do you like the look of best?
I mean, I'm not going to steal Neil's thunder because Neil's doing a little bit of work on one fixture for us.
Good.
So I'll let him take that one. But I think I've kind of mentioned them already, but I think Tadley at home to Moneyfields is probably the one that stands out. I'm not sure if Moneyfields are still the side they were. They certainly were a team that were on the up. But that strikes me as being a very strong game. But I would also think that Reading City would really fancy themselves to have a run in the competition, and they are away at Staining Town Community. I think Reading City are the logical at the moment, the logical successors to our recent Vase finalists, and you would think that they would want to hopefully go a decent way in the competition this season.
Yes, very much indeed. Well, Tom's mentioned 2 fixtures there, but as alluded to, you knowing a little bit about one here, Neil. So I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, well, one I'm keeping an eye on is Virginia Water versus Woodley. So a Berkshire derby, if we're counting that, which I'm sure we are.
Yes, we are.
I was absolutely. I was at the Woodley game, the last home match, and their last 2 results have kind of perhaps shown maybe they're, good in places and at times, less functional. I was there for another local game. They played Eversley last week. That was a 5-3 loss at the Rivermore. I think it's fair to say Woodley struggled with set pieces on the day. And then they go to Brookhouse, an away game, and win 4-0. So, when they've got it in them, they've got goals in them. I'm going to look to do a little bit of an interview with Jordan, the gaffer there. He's already given me some bits and reaction to previous games. But on the basis of that form against Brookhouse, they've got a chance, haven't they? But it's that I'm one for a bit of history. That kind of thing excites me. It's the furthest Woodley have got in the Vase to make the first round. So whatever they do at the weekend, they are winners there, of course, aren't they? So looking forward to seeing how that pans out. I won't be able to go, unfortunately. I'll be on duty elsewhere, but that's certainly one I'll be keeping an eye on.
Absolutely, a great fixture there at Stag Meadow on 3:00 on Saturday. Just to give you the full FA Vase lineup of fixtures for this weekend, we have Burnham at home to AFC Totton Athletic. Eversley in California are away at Loxwood. Reading City, as Tom mentioned, away at Staining Town Community. Hollyport away at Sutton Athletic. Tadley, Cleaver at home to Moneyfields. And then that tie we've just been speaking about, Virginia Water at home to Woodley United. So plenty of Vase action within the county, all involving Berkshire clubs for you to get your teeth into this weekend. Neil, actually, I'm going to come to you first. I'm going to ask you to pick out what are the fixture for the weekend's games involving a Berkshire side that you're sort of going to have your eye on. I know you'll be on duty at one, so you can list that one if you want. But if not, then pick out another fixture from the weekend's games.
No, I will pick out another one, and it's a good plug for the Women's FA Cup, which is the third qualifying round this weekend. So I will be going to Richmond and Kew on Sunday to watch Maidenhead play there. Maidenhead's women's team are in a little rut at the moment. Had some difficult results, played some of the top sides in the division, and we need to get back on track. So we're playing aside from Tier 7, and it's financially lucrative as well. So I will be at that game on Sunday. A big game for Maidenhead United women. They won't take anything for granted because they were knocked out by a lower division side last season. And part of my Woodley roundup, I will include a focus on their women's team as well. They have a home tie, and they are playing Aylesford, which is a side I have to confess to not knowing much about. I know they're Kent-based, and they will be coming up to Bullmarsh. So anyone looking for a game in the area, on Sunday. Get yourselves down to the Bullmarsh Pavilion for Woodley United Aylesford. Again, really lucrative game for Woodley and for Aylesford as well. I'm sure there'll be no quarter asked or given in that one.
Yeah, great.
Home of the watercress line, I believe.
No, I think that's Aylesford. I think that's Aylesford, Hampshire. This is Aylesford.
Sorry, I've got my awkwardly sounding A team names.
Don't try and out train line me, Canning. I'll have you on that subject. No, it's you did confuse me as well. Actually, it's Aylesford in Kent. So as I say, don't know anything about them. Rather than Aylesford from Hampshire, it's Aylesford in Kent. A long journey for them. Let's hope they turn up puffed out. Get it? Train gives Woodley a good chance of getting through, hopefully, to the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. And big weekend for Woodley United, as you mentioned. 2 massive games. One for the men on the Saturday and another for the women on the Sunday. So great that you've highlighted those. And we'll look forward to the more results from the Women's FA Cup on Sunday. So ones to watch for sure. Tom, if I'm asking you to pick out a game, maybe away from the FA Vase, the Women's FA Cup now, what have you got for me?
I am going to go for... I'm going to go for this game purely because the side that are the away side were involved in one of the... I just feel like it was one of the most sensational, funny performances I've ever seen from a football team. A few years ago, you may remember, it was the season before Binfield reached the FA Vase final, and they played AFC Totton at Binfield. And Rob, it may have been us that was there. I can't remember.
I wasn't there, but I remember you being there and raving about it afterwards. But yes,
AFC Totton turned up as the side a division above, and were very much. They turned up in a big coach. They looked, very much the professional outfit against lowly Binfield from a small village that no one had ever heard of. No one in Totton had ever heard of, and all of this sort of thing, and full of ego and all of this and that and what have you. And Binfield absolutely demolished them. They continuously let Sean Moore shoot from 30 yards and didn't seem to learn when he scored from 30 yards. Anyway, besides the point, AFC Totton are at Bracknell Town, and it would give me no greater pleasure than to see Bracknell absolutely trounce them again. Because I also remember back in my Bracknell Town days going to AFC Totton for a game and getting well beaten by them. So that would be my pick of the weekend. I think that any side that fancies giving Totton an absolute whooping is fine by me. So there we go.
You were talking about video bits to clip up and put on the social medias to get engagement. I think you might have one there.
Yes, I don't know if angry AFC.
I'd love it. I'd love it if you did.
Exactly, yeah. Well, some nice a wide range of fixtures there to get your teeth into. But as always, if you want to see what fixtures are coming up nearby you, around the county of Berkshire or involving Berkshire clubs, get on to www.footballinberkshire.co.uk. The fixtures and scores or fixtures and results page will give you all the games happening involving Berkshire clubs that you can get on down to, and do just that. Go and get down to a game and support your local Berkshire side. Right.
Sorry, Rob, you're going to have a twitchy eye again because the Berks and Bucks County Cup, the Charles Twelvetree Cup, listed above the Wessex League Division 1. So
you're going to need to resolve that fairly soon, Tom. Otherwise, I'm going to be smashing my laptop up every time I see it. Good. All right, gentlemen, do we have any other business to talk about?
No. I don't think so.
It is looking back at me. It's sounds good. So we could just wrap it up for today. Well, thank you very much for listening to the Football in Berkshire chat, Berkshire Football Stories chat podcast. I should get the name of the podcast right. And thank you very much to our ad hoc guest, Neil Maskell, who it's always good to have you jumping in, Neil. Always a font of knowledge and always a pleasure.
Thank you. Always good to be able to have a chat with you guys and have a catch up. Thank you.
Very good. And yes, thank you to you as always, Tom. You can say goodbye to everyone if you want.
Yes, yeah.
And well, it is goodbye from all three of us. We'll be back next week covering all the FA Vase results and looking ahead to the weekend's fixtures and covering all the news across Berkshire non-league football. So until then, goodbye from us three. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.